back to another episode of Spoiler Talk, where we talk spoilers. I'm your host, Keiran.
And I'm Jax.
And this week we spoil The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 6, Chapter 14?
Yes.
The Tragedy.
The Tragedy. So let's just start right off the bat. This title, fucking spoilers, man.
Yeah.
I think it's a terrible title, and it's so close to the temple, like with just the T. I immediately was like, what? But let me just blow your mind a little bit more, because I've watched this episode way too many times. Just for everyone, I fucking love this. This was my favorite thing I've ever seen in my life, at least for this week, the last 24 hours. I watched it, ended, I was like, I watched it again, and then it ended, and I was like, I don't even know what to do. I need to go, I really need to go. I got to get up at 4 a.m. It's very late, and I'm like, I'm going to watch the Ahsoka episode, then I watched it again, the Boba Fett episode, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. But the point of this is, the second time I watched it, when I clicked it on and I started watching, well, things happened, it's like, boom, the Mandalorian, I'm like, oh, I'm in. Then it's like, the tragedy, and I'm like,
Oh.
whoa, the tragedy. I must have just been going like, yeah, Mandalorian, I've just been so in, I did not notice the title at all, and I was like, what? Spoilers. This isn't just called The Temple or something?
Yeah.
Or just The Bounty Hunter or just something. I'm like, what? It's such a spoiler. Maybe it has this undercurrent of like tension or a tragedy's happening. I didn't have that, and it was my favorite thing ever. So,
Well, I would argue that was already there. That had already been pre-established. That tension was already running underneath and was re-established in this episode. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think The Temple would have been a way more fitting title that doesn't make you think. And then I think that when the tragedy occurs, I would have... It just seemed as it was happening, I'm like, oh, it's just going to happen like this. There's not even a showdown.
yeah.
And then they take Grogu and fly up. But let's start right back at the beginning. I just wanted to quickly talk about the opening scene, which I thought
Cold
was
open, yep.
great little... is that the first time I've heard Mando laugh? Maybe?
I think so, because, not to interrupt, but I completely didn't vibe with last epi. And then as soon as that, especially like the name really got to me. I was like, Grogu, oh, he was there last time, Grogu.
Yeah.
Him just being like, Grogu, and Grogu looks up and he's like, and I'm like, this connection, this bond, this humor, this friendliness, all this stuff. I was just like, oh no, he needs a name, because now he can refer to him as Grogu, not just this thing. And I'm like, this is step one to him being like the foster papa. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I completely agree. That's why I asked you. I really like that they start out, and now in hindsight, I don't know, I just think
Tragic.
It all would have gone down even better had they not called the episode this. But let's get to some of the great stuff.
Sorry, I've actually got heaps more to say about that opening, because that opening changed my mind about a lot of things. That tragedy thing, I didn't see the title because this opening was so tight. As soon as he humorously laughs, like, I've seen this episode way too many times, and even this time I'm like, I'm still in. I'm still like, I love this, like, but the thing that I really, really found like the most compelling is that he was like, I have got to find you a Jedi. I can't train you. Like, I've got to find you someone, and I've got to find your home.
You're too powerful.
And it just suddenly clicked. I'm like, this is why the last episode was just a quick stop off with the Jedi. It's like, because she was just an episode. I need to chill out about it all, because it's like, it's all about Mando and Baby Yoda. And these two characters, and I just suddenly realized then what I think should happen, and what I think is going to happen, is that Baby Yoda and him, like, he's like, I got to find, like, this season's arc will be, I have to find Baby Yoda a Jedi, his home. And then at the end of the season, he will realize he is the home. And at the time I thought, I'm like, the Razor Crest is their home. But fucking no, it's fucking not.
Yeah, packed a wallop there.
Oh my God.
And it's just incinerated, absolutely nothing left. This ship, which continually gets destroyed again and again and again.
And it's rebounded and, immortal kind of ship.
To see it in just a flash, and it's gone. But it did kind of make sense for the moment too, because I don't think they really wanted to fire from space on that section until they had Grogu. And then when they're flying off with him, it's like, just the final, I don't know, yeah, it worked. Or is it just before that? Do they do it just before? Now I'm actually thinking...
It's just before, yeah, just before.
It's because the stormtroopers, obviously they're tracking the ship, so they land next to it. It would make sense not to fire upon it and hit your own
And-
ship
yeah,
by
yeah,
accident. Then when they've left, little skirmish with Boba Fett, and then they're flying off. Yeah. Okay, I've replaced it all in my head. So much happens. Let's get to the stuff that happens.
So, I just want to, before we get right
Yes.
deep into it, I have one last thing just about expectation. This episode, I didn't think about at all. Last week, I watched every Ahsoka episode, got so keen, and I just thought so much. This episode, I was like, I'm not going to think about it, I'm not going to worry about it, it'll just be an episode. Also, I go to play it on Disney+. I'm like, it's Friday night, I've got like an hour or two till I want to be in bed. I'm ready to watch this. 33 minutes? That means it's about 27 and a half minutes. Not good enough. And I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm so underwhelmed. I have to fight this. I have to get, I had to get back in. And then I go to play the episode and I see the thumbnail. And it's bloody Cara Dune just sitting up there like this. Amanda's just there. And it looks like the most standalone filler episode of TV I've ever seen. I just remember being like, oh no, my worst fears. And then I'm like, you know what? Shake it, get hyped. And I'm like, Cara Dune, he'll go there to shelter for an epi. And Moff Gideon will kill her. And that's why it's a short epi. So I just remember being like, I've got to build myself up. Within 3 minutes, we're at the temple. And I just remember, like, as soon as I saw the temple, from then till the end of the episode, chills. Just vibrating chills of like, I don't know what I expected from this temple, but it was my favorite thing I've ever seen. Ahsoka was like, you got to put him on a stone. But it's just...
The seeing stone, yeah.
I don't know. So, I'd be interested to hear what you think, because as soon as I saw it with its Stonehenge kind of mythic vibes, but very laid back. When we just watched it before, you were like, it's still... They're using amazing CGI stuff, but it's still very grounded. The thing about this episode is, I felt like it was on location. And I presume it wasn't, but to me, something about just the blue skies and the fauns and the trees, it just...
Yeah.
Right, okay, because a lot of the Boba Fett stuff, and I feel like the temple, every time I look at it, I'm like, that's probably not real, but it just... Something about this episode, more than any of the others, I felt like I was on a real planet with a real temple. And so I was buying that blue magic shit, which is my favorite thing I've ever seen. Like, when Baby Yoda starts doing that, I suddenly changed my opinion on everything that happened last episode. And watching them, like watching that then Ahsoka and Boba Fett episode, it's a beautiful, interesting story we're taking Baby Yoda on. Because suddenly it's like, this fucking cunt isn't a baby. What the fuck did he do? Like, maybe just speaking out. I don't know. I found it so compelling to see this magical, the music, the swell. Like, it was so tragic. He's trying to get in, all that stuff. But I found so much about that just so interesting because I wasn't told what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm inferring whatever I want. And I got kind of a bit freaked out. I was scared. I was like, what is Baby Yoda? Like, what has he tapped into? And I suddenly realized, fuck, I'd hate this if I didn't know that he was on Coruscant being trained and I don't know, suddenly all the backstory. He needs a name now because fucking he's tapping into Jedi shit. Like, I don't know, this episode was like so much more than I was ready for. It took me 2 watches to like deal with it.
Yeah.
What do you think about Baby Yoda and the Jedi Temple?
Yeah, no, I just didn't even know what to expect or what they were going to do. And I couldn't tell if it was like technology or magic.
Technology? How so?
Well, if this is an ancient temple, I mean, technology has existed in the Star Wars universe a long time, and we don't know how that's kind of taken shape. And the great thing about Star Wars and the universe of Star Wars is the blend of science fiction and fantasy. And the further back we go, that blend is still there. You know, Star Wars, for it to exist in the kind of canon it has existed, is like people jumping from planet to planet with technology, with enough understanding of it, but this like lawless Western world with falling and new empires coming and rising and republic rising and falling, and you know, it's a story that for some people takes place just for the original trilogy or over the 9 films, or for the people who play the video games over thousands of years. And you know, the world just keeps expanding out and out. So I see that and I'm like, I don't know where the line is between the technology and the mysticism for what this is, and I really like it. I really was just like, oh, I'm watching fantasy again, not just... So, I mean, obviously there was a Jedi in the last episode, but it's still...
This was very magic-y.
Yeah, very much so. It was almost more like Witcher than it was like Mandalorian at points. Like I was looking at shots and I'm like, wow, I never thought I would this visual.
There's a bit where you see it from behind, so the blue and the baby Yoda and the stone and the things, but Mando's there, he's trying to get it, he's like, come on, I'm trying to get to it, Boba Fett's here, come, we gotta go.
He tries 3 times.
Oh, that last time as well, he doesn't get fully pushed back, it's almost like he's used
aware
to it,
of the tension,
I don't know, I found that really, it was just so unsettling.
It's almost like the more he pushes into it, the more it throws him back. So that last time he just pushes in a bit softer, realizes that tension is then repelled back at him. Because the time he really goes in for it, he just gets blasted back. And I think he's like out for a little bit because the entire Fennec Shand Boba Fett thing is going on, and then he wakes back up and he's like, oh shit, runs down the hill.
Honestly, I've seen this way too many times since it came out so early, and every single time he gets up and he's like, oh, and I'm like, what happened to him? Who shot him? And they're like, oh no, he's still up there with Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. But that one shot with the blue and the mythic stuff, but him in that kind of medieval armor, because he's got no guns out. I'm like, it's Skyrim. That's why this is my favorite scene that has ever been filmed ever. I cannot stress enough how down I was on Mandalorian after last week. And now that episode I hated, I laugh. It's like this, just seeing that temple, everything about it, I just thought so interesting. Like even him just getting there, been like, is this Jedi? And I'm like, of course it's Jedi, you dumb cunt. Oh, he hasn't seen the movies. He has no idea. I don't know. I found it so like, and he's like, maybe I've got to find a thing. And I'm like, bro, this is mystic Jedi temple shit. Like, because it's interesting you said technology, just because I feel like I've seen kind of some Jedi temple shit in like Rebels. I don't want to get into it, but it's like, it's just more like temples moving and it's a lot. And I was like really afraid of seeing a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas this simplicity was like
Act 2. More like that, yeah?
I was just about to say it's like Luke.
Oh, yeah,
It's so... No, but you're 100% right. It's mythic. It's beautiful. It's just something about a certain way you make something look just feels... Like that island is just some island. I mean, it's a beautiful island, but it's like, man, they made it feel like a place. Like when she gets there and walks up. And it's all about music as well. Like this music has got some like sci-fi, but it's also got this like this deep string. Like every time, like when it first cuts to Baby Yoda, I was just like, I don't know. It's interesting. I just touched my mic, so sorry. Really interesting watching it on your TV because we weren't wearing headphones. We're just watching it. I've listened to it 3 times with my big, expensive, amazing headphones in, and this is the second time since I first watched it and I put Mad Max Fury Road on. I'm like, I'll try a scene, watch the whole thing because the sound was so good. I was like, oh my God. Since then, I've gotten used to it. And this was the first episode that was really like, fuck that bass, man. Like, there was something in my bones that I didn't get when I watched on my phone at work today on my break. And then I didn't get here. I still got most of it, but the shots of Baby Yoda, like the deep, like this, I don't know. It's a really interesting kind of, and I love it when something's like, we're away from it and then it just cuts to like the magic thing. And it's just, that sound just makes me, I was captivated. It's so simple. Like having watched it like this time as well, I was like, there's so little going on. He just gets to a temple, puts Baby Yoda on, Boba Fett arrives.
So yeah, let's
get to the bloody Bobby.
The shot and seeing Slave One just fly by, I chills immediately, and I was like, we're here, we're finally here. The little tease from the beginning, and now we're going to get it. And it's an immediate kind of, they go to each other, shoot at each other a little bit, work things out, strike a bargain, and we get, like I would say with Bo-Katan and then Ahsoka Tano, just a little taste of Boba Fett history. Just a little.
Like that.
Yeah. Not too much.
A little bit more, please.
Just a couple of lines, just to flesh out the relationship we already know he has with his father and what's kind of gone on since. A very slight reference to cheating death in the Sarlacc pit, and then that with Fennec Shand, who's now part cybernetic. Yeah.
So, the reveal of that, and the way the first time they even say Boba Fett, is she's like, I was saved by a Boba Fett. And she reveals her chest, which is now all robotic. Do you think that implies that he's now a cyborg as well?
Oh, potentially, like
someone did that to him.
Yeah.
Because I only got that like the third time. The first time I was like, what the fuck? She's a robot. I was so like, oh my God. Because I remember his boots appearing and everyone's like, season 1, that's Boba Fett's boots. I'm like, what? That was such a weird scene. I didn't even get that. And I love Star Wars. I was like, oh, all right. To actually have her come back, I don't know if I like the exchange. She's like, I'm a great shot. He's like, Fennec? She's like, you've got great ears, Mando. And I'm like, I don't know about this. But as soon as she walks down, I'm like, no, I like her coldness. She's like, you look like you've seen a ghost. I'm like, because he's got no face. That's fucking funny.
And immediately I was just like, oh yeah, these three characters are all just getting along because they're all bounty hunters. You know, of course they would just come together. And I think they're all kind of used to, you know, operating in this manner. And like, we're in the circumstances we're who we are. And because we have the context of Boba Fett as the bad guy, I couldn't separate my expectations from him continuing to be the bad guy. And even at the end, when he was flying up to the Imperial ship, I was like, is he going to reveal himself a traitor?
Oh.
Was this all some elaborate... But no, he just flies on by and he comes back down, and it's just all my expectation because he's positioned as a villain.
Yeah.
But now really looking back at it, he's not he's just doing a job. He's bounty hunting for the Empire, who are the government. Like, he's just a man making his way through the universe like his dad. And I was like, oh my God, the way they've reframed this just in this episode and now reframed the entire character, I'm totally on board for. This guy's not a bad guy. He just does jobs, and sometimes he's the bad guy. In the broad saga of Star Wars, him and his dad are kind of bad guys. But to him, his dad was a great guy, and, you know, he's just a man trying to earn money and live and do what the Mandalorian, what Din Djarin has been doing and what we've been watching him do for almost 2 seasons now. And I was just struck by the fact that because the Mandalorian has been positioned to us as a hero from the get-go, we've never had to accept that. And because Boba Fett has always been the villain, all comes together really well, and they just did the right amount. And there's lots of action and lots of shooting and lots of stormtrooper deaths and lots of hilarious antics there.
So good.
Maybe, and I think I said this about something else earlier this season, like maybe just a little bit too much of the same thing at a point.
Okay.
And I know it's only...
With just boo, 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 boo.
Yeah, and there are some creative little moments, but again, it's nothing I haven't seen before. It's they get a big gun, and then there's a big rock, and I've seen that in about 30 things before.
For sure.
And like all these elements are very familiar, and there's nothing too engaging about the action. More of it is just kind of the guy got the suit of armor back that we wanted to, and that's the big kind of moment in it. But nothing actually put to screen here is incredibly engaging in a way that I haven't seen before, I suppose.
That's interesting because
And not to say I didn't enjoy it too.
No, for sure.
I did.
So this episode is mostly boo, 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 action, action, Boba Fett. But I thought that the way they shot it, I don't know if it was just something about seeing Tamora Morrison.
Yep.
Fuck, that cunt is a scary motherfucker. I don't know. It's like I enjoyed seeing him outside of the suit more than in the suit. When he fucking is like, all right, I'm not going to use my gun. I'm just going to fucking beat the shit out of them with my giant mallet thing. There's a shot that's up in the sky. He's like, boom, bam! And it's like, boom, boom, boom. You're falling the stormtrooper down. And it's moving around. And he's smashing. And it's just, there's this frenetic energy to it. I'm like, I'm in. Like, there's one bit where it's just falling. And he's dragging it on the ground. And it's falling up. And he just hits the cunt. And it's just like, and he cuts to a close with his face. And he's like, I'm just like...
That's the really good stuff in the episode, I think.
I don't know, man. I was like, getting my primal on. I was just watching and being like, this guy is terrifying. Like, so into the scene. He looks at the Razor Crest and goes, "Grah." And I didn't even think for a second, oh, the costume's in there. He's going to put on the costume. I was just so like...
Oh, no?
No, I was just looking at his face being like, this cunt is so fucking scary. I'd never really thought what I wanted from Boba Fett. But as soon as that first episode happened, I'm like, what the fuck? We got Boba Fett, but it was just Raylan Givens in a Boba Fett costume being a cowboy? Like, what is happening? And then we saw him at the end, all bald and old. I was just like, I don't even know what to expect anymore. Because I thought the first scene would be the start of the episode he appears in, like Ahsoka Tano, cold opening, desert. What's going on? Clawing out of the sun. I just expect that. Now, I'm kind of like, they've set up a thing where I'm like, who the fuck taught him how to make robot lady? Because like, to me, I also love how she's just like, I'm a robot. And I'm like, oh, I love how she's got like a little slip for it. Because you'd need that for robotechnics, but it also feels very much just like I made this so I could do this for you right now.
Yeah. And there's just a green patch under the leather. Yeah.
I would love for that to eventually be revealed in later. But the action, I thought him fighting with the stick was just amazing. I don't want to like say it reminds me of Saving Private Ryan, but not in like a way where I'm like it's the greatest action set. But I just had this energy of just following them a bit, and like I liked even just I don't know, just the way it was kind of with them shooting. I just felt like it was real. I don't know. I feel like this show feels like amazing sets, the best sets. But I don't know, like I feel like it's kind of lent almost a bit towards The Hobbit. If The Hobbit, I don't know, The Hobbit wishes it looked this good. But this episode, I was like, this is Lord of the Rings. Like I was
grounded.
It just felt, I don't know, there was something about seeing stormtroopers just out in this big blue day. It kind of made me feel like this is like a scene. Like you could see them shooting and then it pans over and they're filming Breaking Bad on the other lot of this. I don't know, there was something about that. I just love seeing the stormtroopers run. Then we got the orange commander guy and he's like, fucking shut up, cunt, just fight. And he's like pointing, he's like, go. And I just love seeing this guy. He's like a bit of an asshole commander and they just gave him the teensiest bit of character. And I was like, I love this guy. And then when he got his fucking comeuppance, I was like, what is this? This is Boba Fett. Like, I don't know, man. Over the last few weeks, I'm like, Boba Fett appears. He's like, I'm Boba Fett, remember me? And I was just like, you know what? If he doesn't appear again, I won't be surprised. So I was so blown away. As soon as his ship appeared, I was like, and he's like, oh, Boba Fett, ship. I'm like, what the fuck? And then he goes back, he's like, baby, blue. I was like, I've just so much energy.
The sound of the ship just brought me back, you know?
It's just crazy to see something like that. This is... Could be wrong. I guess stormtroopers are probably the main thing, but they're so like, not generic, but I feel like Boba Fett's ship, like seeing that ship, that was like the first time where I was like, holy fuck. This is a Star Wars show that's just, we're getting Luke at some point.
Yeah.
Like seeing that, I feel like, and I suddenly became aware of how much I wanted all of this, and especially rewatching the Ahsoka and like watch how the episode where it was the worst. It's so good. Like you just take, it's for what the characters, it's a man with no face, so I'm Mandalorian. There was a bit where his ship explodes and it just cuts his face. I'm like, fuck, he's so devastated. And I'm like, no, he's not. I'm devastated. He's nothing. He's nothing. It's just a helmet. I can't see him. I don't know. What do you think about the Indiana Jones rock? Because the first time I laughed so hard, just seeing them be like, yeah! And the rock hits them, and he's shooting the rock, trying to diminish
that's
the rock.
Part where I'm like, why? Well, whose choice was this? How did this get through so many?
It's Robert Rodriguez's choice.
It's just such a strange decision to make. But you know what? Who cares? It's not that big a deal, but yeah.
I just think for like an episode like this, it's such a big moment of like, he gets the gun, and, and she's like, boo, boo, boo. And you're like, they're going to take out everyone. And then she's like, oh, fuck. And then she's running, and it's like, When it ended, and it's like, baby, you're going to pull the pants out, and you're like, fuck. There's actual stakes now. Oh my God. And it goes, ba-doom, Robert Rodriguez. I have never been more impressed with someone's name coming up in my life. I was just like, just seeing his name, I'm like, fuck yeah, this has that energy of Spy Kids and Desperado and those films that I love this guy doing. Like, I don't know what he's done recently. Predators was probably the last thing, but just, I don't know.
I like that too.
The one with Adrian Brody? Yeah, it's really good. I just think that I don't know, I just was like, that's why this episode connected. That's why so many of the shots and the visuals and the things, just everything, I'm like, I don't know, I vibe with him. I vibe with the style of action he does. And for sure, Boba Fett is kind of just standing there shooting, but there's also just an energy of like, he lands and the bombs, the bomb explosion was probably the worst CGI of the whole episode, which I thought was an odd choice.
Yeah.
Weird effect for that. I felt like that was really lacking. But that stormtrooper cuts to slow-mo and he's like, boo, 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 boo. And he's just there. I don't know, man. That blew me away. I was like, that is so cool. I love it.
So there was something I actually didn't get to mention last week.
Yeah.
It was a Dave Filoni directing tidbit. And it's specifically when Mando lands and saves the people who are getting PG tortured in the electricity chambers. Yeah.
Well phrased, yes.
When he lands, it cuts 5 times within about a second. It looks like they've stitched together the sequence in just the worst way possible. And I don't know why it wasn't just shot of him landing, gun, gun, gun. Because there's so much of that in this episode with the director we have here. Who did last week's? I've forgotten. Oh, yeah, I just said it. Dave Filoni. Oh, my God.
I actually forgot to. I'm like, who did do? Oh, no. Of course he did.
The thing I'm literally talking about right now. Dave Filoni. Maybe I was thinking of the one before that. Sorry. Who did the one before?
Carl Weathers.
Right, yeah. And the action in that was particularly good. And again, elements of the action are good in The Jedi, but then there are very, like, jumbled, botchy decisions that are really, like, cut together messily.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of that in this. Like, the moments all kind of work, and even though the things that are happening, like the guy shooting the rock,
if you don't like
silly,
that, for sure. But for me, I'm like...
But it's executed well, and it's not cut. Yeah.
For instance, just... I don't want to cut in, but it's like that rock shot. For instance, the reason I think that's kind of great is like just the energy of like, there's a moment where the camera's the rock.
Yeah.
And the camera's like, bah, 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 bah. And then there's a shot where it's just the stormtroopers like, there's just an energy to like the way, like the fighting and the just...
There's vision. There's vision behind it. And there was so much vision for the Jedi sequences, but it was all kind of ideas of things we've seen before. Whereas the ideas in this was just like shooting. She's a sharpshooter. That's her deal. But then Boba Fett got kind of the fun stuff to do and the good moments and sequences that all kind of really worked for me.
Yeah.
But all of it was executed. I feel like...
Not sure.
Yeah. Even the
I actually think a bunch of
fight
notches
is
up.
good, but it's not that good.
See, so unfortunately, because I was just so negative on just like watch out the huge episode, but like but like I really didn't vibe with just seeing Ahsoka. I was like, oh, I don't like the action, I don't like the choice, and some of her lines I was kind of like, oh, I really think if they just had that same actress, I would have been like, it's her voice, I get it, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But rewatching it yesterday, being in like just watching Boba Fett kick ass for an hour, because I watched 2, not even an hour, like 50 minutes. And I went back and I was actually surprised by how interesting the fight is at the end. Once you know something, I think that it's kind of different, because I feel like it's very choppy.
Yeah.
Just the fight is very like 7 shots when just hold. Just
in that wide.
Just hold the wide for the whole fucking episode. And you also sent me an amazing meme during the week of a comparison of those episodes with the Kurosawa film when we actually did a review for, and not a review, a discussion, but spoiler talk, whatever, Jack, shut up. And I just suddenly was like, fuck yeah, that's just Snyder cut kind of, that Snyder vibe, that gross kind of, it's like a sucker punch vibe to that episode, whereas this was just
Jedi.
Of the Jedi. This was just so colourful. I just want to see stormtroopers. There's a wide where stormtroopers are running and one just gets shot. And I'm like, that's the most beautiful thing ever. Reminds me of when I watched Game of Thrones and Lost even, where especially when I first rewatched Lost as an adult, I'm like, every shot is gorgeous. Blue skies, blue beaches, green grass, the 3 elements, and you got a bit of blood splattered on it. It's just, the visuals are so colourful and poppy.
And for comparison, you can do bleak and still make it beautiful.
Of course.
Case in point is episode 1 of The Mandalorian. The first planet he's on is bleak and beautiful all at once. It's like
that's great.
Ice planet, and it's
horrific. You want to kill it? I'd rather die than go there. But
it just falls into fog and nothingness, into oblivion. But it's kind of bright and it's engaging and it looks different. And I haven't really seen it, and it's the new technology and all of it kind of wrapped together. And then, yeah, I get the visual metaphor they're going for with the Jedi being burnt down and there's one left in the burnt down forest.
The burnt tree idea is gorgeous,
and you can do that and make it beautiful and stark, but maybe they just didn't quite find that right balance. And it's that yellowy orange grey.
It's like poo. It's a poo-y colour. I don't know.
Yeah, blacks aren't blacks, whites aren't whites.
Is that
Everything
what it
is in the middle. Yeah.
Is that what it?
Well, I'm going to color grade, the shot of me talking right now, just like it. Oh no, I'm in a Zack Snyder film. Help, get me out of the Zack Snyder film.
Boom. Yeah. You're in a dream, you can't get out. No, I don't know.
I hope I can pull it off now. Otherwise I'll just cut this whole bit.
No, just don't do anything. And then it's just a weird bit of All right, so they take fucking Baby Yoda.
Yes. The Dark Troopers.
Oh, the Dark Troopers assembled or whatever. Assemble the Dark Troopers. I felt... There's a moment where he's on the ship and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna need a scene with him talking soon. And then there's a scene where he talks and I genuinely... I'm going to say this 1,000 times. So I've watched it too many times now. Every fucking time I've watched it, I'm like, what's he said? Like, it ends, the scene ends where he goes to Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's like, oh. And he's like, oh, have you seen this dark saber? And as soon as he shows the dark saber, I'm like, what? I just don't understand what he says from there because I'm just so like, fuck. This cunt's got Baby Yoda. He's got a dark saber. I'm just suddenly like, they aren't going to kill him. But for some reason, my body is like, they better not kill him. Like, I don't know, just something about, maybe it's just because Gus holds so much weight in my heart. It's probably like the only non-Game of Thrones villain I like. Not like, just love. Like, he's just so...
He's like the villain of TV's 2010s.
Yeah,
you know? Like, he epitomizes that kind of decade of television in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just such a... I don't know. I feel like I look at him and I'm like, he's two-dimensional now. But I just know we're going to get a moment where I'm like, fuck. Or do you think we're going to get that moment? Or do you
Oh, yeah. They'll flesh him out.
No,
they'll give him... I think they've got a rich backstory. So there's an unused concept from Duel of the Fates where they were going to kind of retroactively make General Hux a kind of Jedi fanboy who collected lightsabers and was after Force artifacts and was kind of... vengeful or...
Tried to use the Force a bit, right?
Yeah, and he was kind of bitter and resentful against Kylo Ren, who had the power. Which
He's a squib, right? Kind of?
A what? Oh, like in...
Sorry, like Harry Potter? Kind of that idea of
absolutely.
like, you know about it all, but you're not there? Or
A
what?
squib, yeah.
Ish,
I
a
haven't
squib-ish.
heard that term in a while.
Sorry.
They don't use it a lot in the movies.
They not
as
at
much
all.
as they do in
I
the
forget
books.
everything in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, like squibs, because it's gone. Sorry. So you think maybe he'll be a squib?
Well,
no,
I was
sorry,
thinking,
a
like,
Jedi squib.
If there's any... I mean, they haven't given us a lot for him, but if anything that's there at the moment they could mine from, an unused concept, that kind of idea of like, you know, we've kind of seen it with General Grievous a little bit, and then they were going to do it with Hux, and maybe they've kind of reworked it into this new bad guy Imperial character, and he could be a little bit of a, you know, Force...
Fanboy?
He had so much knowledge in that end of season 1 episode about everything. He's almost like the worst Star Wars fan, but he's in the Star Wars universe. He's
no!
Yeah, he's like, I know everything. I know all the lore.
No, someone kill him.
Yeah, and he's the bad guy. So I don't know if I'm maybe just putting threads together that aren't there, but it would be interesting if they went down that path of like, he's collecting all these relics and he's trying to reassemble the Empire and essentially maybe that's what they're going for. He's trying to help Palpatine make a Snoke clone so that they can rise from the ashes. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do, and I think we're going to get some more very soon.
Do you think because Mando has got a weapon that he can now, and now we've found out that his armor can just stop lightsabers, do you think, so the Darksaber, do you think that, I mean, because I need them to fight this season. That has to happen. They have to fight because he got a weapon to fight him with.
Yep.
I'm really afraid they're going to kill him. Do you think that because he's such a great actor, they just won't and they'll hold off on giving his backstory?
Moff Gideon.
Or do you think episode 7 will be like, all like, you always say in Breaking Bad, there's actually only one episode where they really give you all that stuff, and I'm always like, I've never really watched. Is that true? That can't be true, is it? Oh my lord! But like, you get this two-note villain. Oh, two-note. It's like, he's a thing, and then you get this whole thing, and you're like, oh, and then there's those 3 episodes of, what do you say? A man stalking another man who doesn't know.
Yeah,
how do you
with a
phrase
bomb.
Yeah, with a bomb. Yeah.
It's just that's what Breaking Bad, like the end of season 4. It's just a man is following another man around. That man doesn't even know that he's being followed. Walter is having like a paranoid breakdown, and he just follows him around with a bomb and eventually blows him up.
And another old man.
Yeah, and then they find out later, I was like, Gus wasn't even onto him. He wasn't even thinking about him. He was dealing with the cartel and his business dealings and like important shit and torturing an old man in a nursing home. Sure, he wasn't a great guy.
Kicks,
He wasn't really thinking about anything.
Yeah.
And we've just put all this like him in the parking lot, not going to his car. Maybe he was like, I might get that Coke. And he did, but we've inferred all of this stuff over the top and built him, into this thing, which is exactly what Walter's been doing. He's like, I have to outmaneuver this guy or he's going to kill me. In reality, he's got his own shit going on.
Yeah. So, Moff Gideon, played by Gus Fring. No. What's his name?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Amazing. Amazing. He's really, really great. They've also done a really interesting thing where they're really showing just little bits and they're really working for me. But there's one interesting thing where it's like, the bit that just was like probably my favorite, just like I'm fucking scared of this guy. It's like it cuts and it's like you see like him, he's like a little thing, and then you got the ship, the classic kind of, I've seen Vader walk on that kind of ship before.
On the bridge.
Yeah. On the bridge, thank you. And it's very empire-y, very just like, oh fuck, the bad guys, those cunts. And there's just, they're going through hyperspace. That's what it is. And there's that that vortex of hyperspace, and it's just like this is just unsettling, just like this weird pitchy. I'm not getting it right, but it's just this unsettling like nerve being strung across the screen with his music. And I was just like, oh, fuck this guy. And that's when we get to the Baby Yoda. The Baby Yoda at the end scene was like,
not before a little hallway walk with the boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Oh, I've listened to that music so
it's
much.
like, that's the new Imperial theme.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. Seeing him walk in, he's like, oh, and then it's like, Baby Yoda's like, he's all like, and he's just throwing them out, and the music's like, just this tragic, epic string song. And I'm like, this is what I remember Stranger Things Season 1 was. But you know what's cuter than a little girl with telepathic things that is bald? A fucking little Baby Yoda. Yeah. Sorry. Yes, a little puppet. Just seeing him, and he's like, and I know that's like, especially recently, these last two epis, and especially rewatching last epis, like, he's not a baby. Baby Yoda's like a pretty, I don't know, especially finding out his name's Grogu. I just suddenly, not then, just this episode really dawning where I was like looking at him, like, I know it's a puppet, but I feel like the puppet's acting more now. Like, in a show where you're watching a show and that actor doesn't know they're the bad guy. They're like, you're the bad guy now. And they're like, what the fuck? Act like a bad guy. And they're like, oh, ooh. And they're suddenly acting all evil. This felt like Baby Yoda's like, once we know, like just him looking and responding in a way where he's like, oh, you know my name now. And just, I was suddenly like, fuck, this cunt's got like history. Like, I really want to start an episode with Baby Yoda being taken away, and in the background you just see Anakin just cutting down baby Jedi, just cutting all the younglings down, but in a way where they can show it on Disney Plus, where you see the blue lightsaber, you hear a scream, and just I don't know, I don't know how I'd picture it. Get Robert Rodriguez to get, there's something about his energy.
I just wanted to mention that they just started filming Kenobi.
Oh my God, did they actually
shooting? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like set in a very specific location that was just announced. It's like in Boston or something like that. Yeah. They were like, we're
not
shooting
Tunisia?
in Boston.
How much better would it be if they're like, we're going to Tunisia? Fuck the virus.
I wonder if they built another volume for them in the location.
Oh, I thought you meant they built another Tunisia. We built Tunisia in Boston.
I just assumed they would be using the Mando tech to shoot it. But
of course.
But the location they announced that they were shooting it in was like, oh, they're doing it there. I wonder what's there. But maybe there's a location. Maybe there's something they're going back to. Who knows?
Is it still Deborah Chow?
Deborah Chow? Yeah.
It's embarrassing. I was so close. She was great though. She's not coming back for this season, is she?
No.
Interesting. I wonder.
But I don't know who else is coming back.
Yeah, because I knew that Carl Weathers and Dave Filoni were directing epis, and I only found them out like that week. I just feel like somehow some people on the line are like, I know what the episode title is. No one knew what the episode title was this week, but everyone knew last week, so I don't know what. Maybe I'm just, I don't know how I find these things out.
I think Rick Famuyiwa is meant to come back. The guy.
Episode 2!
With the egg.
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh, someone did I saw this video of this guy, and he just broke down season 1, where I was like, fuck, I couldn't have a conversation with him. He hates it so much.
Oh.
And he's not wrong in a way. I don't know. There's little things where it's like episode 4 of season 1 where it's like, why don't they just use the Razor Crest? I'm like, I just don't think about it, mate. Whereas he said, season 1 of this season,
Well, I mean, they're in
They-
hiding. So.
no, for sure. But he was like, in this episode, they're like, why don't you use the Razor Crest to shoot the big monster? He's like, well, and they have a reason. Cobb Vanth's like, I have a reason. But he was also like, that episode, my favorite so far is like, it's just the same as episode 2, where it's like, it's a guy with an egg doing a thing. And I was like, oh, there's so many similarities. And it's interesting how some people go, no, they're doing it again. Whereas I was like, no, they're like getting what they were doing with the Sand People in that Tatooine episode and really getting into it. I don't know, it's just interesting. All right, back to the episode. So the end bit, Baby Yoda, Stranger Things. That's what it reminded me of.
Oh, right.
Stranger Things 11, and just that whole thing. And I thought it was really, I don't know, just seeing that scene was like, I really just didn't think we were here yet. Like, that's what really dawned on me this episode. Like, I remember the last episode ended and I went, nah. Every episode, he meets a person, they're super awesome. You go, I can't wait for them to be, but fuck, they're gone. It's like someone who rocks up at a party, you're like, I haven't seen you. They're gone. They're already gone. Yeah. They're already gone. I didn't even see them punch those 3 guys. I didn't even see the lightsaber. Where's the lightsaber? She has 2. I didn't see it. I blinked and I missed. And this episode ending on Boba Fett being like, well, I made a pact and I'm an honorable guy, apparently, which I love so much. And it's like, fuck, man, if you told me last week, hey, Jax, you're down on the show. You thought it wasn't going to be the show. Shut up, Jax. In 2 weeks, Boba Fett, fake Boba Fett, your hero, and Boba Fett, better than when he was actually Boba Fett in the Clone Wars or anything. He's better than an Empire. He's a fucking old grizzly fucking... He's so good. They're going to team up. His fucking ship's gone. So they have to go in Boba Fett's ship. So this is essentially the movie they wanted to make, but now that Mando is also there, and they have to go and save Baby Yoda, so stakes could not be higher. They have to get him back. I don't want a show without Baby Yoda. Can't lose Baby Yoda, but they have to lose Baby Yoda for a bit to make the Snoke babies or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's why they have to get him back to make Snokes and Palpatines and do all their clone fucking shit, right?
Yeah, and I was thinking the fact that he's sat on that seeing stone. I mean, do we culminate? Like, does the end of the season culminate in like the remaining Jedi coming out of hiding, returning, like you know, like Knights of the Old Guard? Did they come together? And there's like Ahsoka,
Jedi assemble,
Luke, Ezra, fucking a couple other people
Cal
who have been
Katniss or whatever his name
guy
is from the game.
Video Game.
Yeah, the video game.
Is that his name in Fallen
Cal something.
Order?
Cal Katniss, Cal something. But it's like it's the actor who plays Joker in Gotham. And he plays a character.
That's
in
what I mean, though. Like
Shameless. He's a great actor. Like, honestly, fuck the game. And if you were just gonna get a Jedi to be random, cast him. He's great. So having him from this game is. But I think they should use him if they're going to do something
if like
crazy.
Just a bunch of Jedi and a bunch of Mandalorians.
I'm back in.
Got together and we're just like, let's rescue this child. Let's do the right thing. We're Jedi. We're
potentially the youngest Jedi. Yeah. I mean, I know he's 50, but.
And Luke's trying to rebuild the Order at that time. Like, it all kind of fits within the universe. Like, he's 5 years on. He's probably learned some more shit. We know, like, from Rise of Skywalker, which it will fit in the continuity of him and Lando were going on missions and trying to find stuff and, following leads and daggers.
So I blacked that out.
For sure, but they will, like...
So they were searching for interesting artifacts and stuff,
exactly.
Though, right? Yeah,
who knows,
that's cool, though. I like that.
What they found and what they didn't, because... It was very vague what they were aware of. So, yeah, it would not make sense for Luke to rock up right now and be in all these events and kind of be vaguely aware of the Empire's bubbling there under the surface, and maybe they strike him down again. Like it's just
who strikes who? Sorry,
the New Republic come in and the Jedi, and it's like the Jedi that are left.
Oh my god, just almost like a episode 6 kind of moment of fuck you again. And then it's like, I don't know. It's all this stuff. It's making me very excited. But I actually feel like everything you're saying to me, just emotional. I'm like, you know what? If that happens in episode 8, like in 2 weeks, too much. Just a little, just because...
What's more likely is it'll be all the characters we've been following, and it'll be Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, the ones they've earned already. I don't think they're going to throw all these other people in as well. But I'm just saying, like,
they could.
If they did, I feel like they've earned it, and I feel like they'd do a decent enough job. And even if they didn't give me all the Luke stuff I wanted, like, just the fact, like, he's been called in this moment to come out and help. And it's like, of course he's not going to give all his backstory. He's going to help on the mission, and then season 3 they can go into it. You know, I'd be cool with that. But do whatever. I'm totally...
So I just had a thought, and I've only just occurred to me now, just because I'm suddenly like, you know what? I'm just going to break against form. And because Baby Yoda touches all that stuff. It feels like Baby Yoda should know what he's doing. Because they say he's trained, and, you know, he's not great, but he's, you know, she's like, fuck, he's got some power. I don't want that. You know, he's too powerful. I don't, you know. What if Baby Yoda doesn't actually understand what he's tapping into, and he taps into something, and we get, like, I don't know, like, he brings in someone he doesn't want, and, like, I'm not saying like a Darth Maul type, but not Darth Maul, because, like, he's dead now, yes, but just, I don't know, I was suddenly, because we were just saying Cal from the redhead from the game, he meets on Dathomir in one of the parts, because I've just watched all the scenes online, like, he meets a crazy Jedi who's gone lost for like 10 years. And like, no one even knows he's alive. He's just off. And he's like he's like Ahsoka, but the opposite. I guess like, I'm saying this all, I'm like, nah, it's just Darth Maul. And I'd just be angry it wasn't him. But I just would love the idea of Baby Yoda accidentally calling someone who has Jedi, like the Force, but isn't just Luke. Because I think once you bring in Luke, I'm suddenly like, all right, that's proper endgame. Is it? No. I don't know. It's scary though, because it's like, where do you go? Like, I guess he just doesn't train, or he trains for a bit and then he doesn't. Because you don't really want Baby Yoda to be one of the people. What if So Baby Yoda can't turn out to be one of the Knights of Ren, but imagine. Because I don't know, just because the things that happen, it's like, where would Baby Yoda really fit in and all of that? Like,
well, it just makes sense that he crossed paths with Luke and that there was
so you'd really prefer it to just be like Ahsoka, like a one epi. He's here because if Luke appears, I want Luke for a bit, like a couple epis to really. I want him to maybe train Yoda properly and get into that a bit.
That's just not. I don't think that's what the show will be. Yeah. I don't think that it'll become that.
It's interesting you say that with maybe if he appears, he won't be a thing, and I think it's one of those things where it'll just be once it comes. Because I remember when Ahsoka first appeared, I was like, I really don't like the idea of her being like, and now you're off to the next bit. But now I've like looked at it, especially where we just went to straight after, where she sent them. I was like, you know what? No, I much prefer not spending 2 days or 2 episodes, in whatever that planet was. And I like how frenetic it is. Like now looking at 6, with 6 having such a dark, tragic ending. I'm now looking at this, like you said I would last week, as a movie that's an hour longer than a movie, so we get extra bits. Like Ahsoka isn't in it for 5 minutes. Should we get 40 minutes with her? And those things, it's all really working. And I really feel like this was a classic end of Act 2. Like I think they did it last season with I Have Spoken.
End of episode 7.
But that was very much like, I generally feel like when I first watched that week to week, until that happened, I was like, I have not felt anything yet. Not proper heart. And then I was like, whoa, they caught me off guard so much killing that guy. I was like, whoa, what? Yeah. And then I suddenly realized I cared. And then that last episode blew me away. He's not racist anymore. It's amazing. But I don't know, this time I was like, fuck, I don't know, man. Something about this where I was like, that show when he walks out on that ice and he's looking at Baby Yoda and later in the episode he's like, ooh, they're doing the ET touch thing. And to think now, just to look back on that first episode, you know, he's walking out on the ice, I'm like, it's a Mandalorian, all this stuff. To think now, we're here, where he's putting a Baby Yoda on a temple and it just, so much happened in this episode, but there's just so like fanfare-y. I can imagine people being like, it's fanfic, it's just Boba Fett, like a set in a foresty kind of looking thing that you could just go to on location. They've just got the costumes. But something about it just worked for me so well, so much that I'm just like, this is the way. I have one thing that I thought was maybe not, I don't know. I'm interested to see what you think about this. Because I like it because I like the stupidity of it. But I'm also like, is it silly? There's a bit where him and the lady with the sniper, like, bam, 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 bam. oh no, she's like, oh, I'm gonna die. And then he appears, he's like, he kills everyone. And he's like, we go forward now. And he's like shooting. And he's like, stay behind me. And she's like, oh, and it reminded me a lot of like Rick and Morty, where she's like, oh, I don't know, Rick. And he's like, it's all right. But he's just like, hey, don't even stress. I fought a Jedi. I'm immortal. This armor is immortal. And he's just taking it. He's like, oh yeah. He's just taking it. And he's just like, stand behind me. It's all good. And I really like that. But it's also like,
I would have liked if someone got shot.
All I think is, fuck, his armor is like a lot of fun. It's really great in all these moments. And I love that the Beskar is the only thing that survives the ship being exploded. Like, there's something about it that's incredibly amazing. Mithril. It's like Mithril. It's fucking gold. Frodo's not like covered in Mithril. I don't know. Gollum can still strangle him. Like, there's almost no tension with Mando.
I reckon that's why they need to...
She just stopped the lightsabers. Like, he's immortal.
That's why it would be good at maybe every now and then if he got clipped, in between a piece of armor or just something. You know how like Princess Leia gets shot in Return of the Jedi? I always love that. She just gets shot in the...
Oh,
she gets shot in the shoulder and she's like... like burns her. You actually see what a laser blast does to someone without killing them for once.
For sure, yeah.
And then they have that little interaction. Yeah, I always like that in that movie.
That is an amazing scene. It's also like R2 gets the same treatment when his head explodes and he can get fixed, but it's that same kind of like damage. I remember someone saying that about Rey. It was weird that Rey never got her hand chopped off because it's like, it's not that it's like lame if it happens 3 times. It's like, it's not about the hand either. Take an eye, take anything. It's about damage.
The only damage she takes
no damage.
She gets cut a bit on the arm by the Snoke's guards when they're fighting.
No, I don't remember that.
Yes, you do. You've watched that scene.
No. Oh.
Remember
the fire scene with the... No. Yeah. I remember the set. I love that shit. I don't remember
There's a guy who goes...
Oh, no, I do. No, sorry.
And he just... cuts her arm a bit.
Yeah.
That's the only damage she takes in 3 movies.
That's why I don't remember it, because I don't know. I don't really consider
Kylo Ren throws her into a tree, but then she has the whole fight after, so it doesn't even really count, Like, the only actual
but
visible
what's his face
wound
gets cut in half, And I really would have loved that, like, the only... one change of The Last Jedi. Just give him what... Kylo Ren has, like, a metal thing. How scary would it be to just give a hero a cyborg thing, and then you're like... Is he now hard? Like, just the Star Warsy thing of cyborg is evil, and I love that with like, you see Grievous, and you're like, that's like the extreme, and Vader's almost there, and I love even this lady. She's like, I'm a bounty hunter. I don't care. I'm half robot. I'm half fucking, and it's like, I don't know. There's something about that that's like, there's just something about Star Wars and robots where I'm like, I don't know, that line, that mechanical man line, is interesting, and I love how these bounty hunters are like, when they're chatting, as you said before, it was like. I don't know, the way they talk and stuff, I love that they are like, it's a robot. I'm not like any worse or better because they're kind of grey. I don't know. So I think that's kind of interesting. I really want Boba Fett to be kind of robot-y. And then we find out who taught him how to like fix her. Because I feel like that'd just be kind of interesting. Like, what is that?
Vader taught me how to do...
Well, I don't know. That's almost too much.
Is that they were buddies? Kind of. I mean, he hired
I don't know. I feel like when you explained it at the start of the episode with like, this guy's never been like a villain in his story ever. Like maybe Han Solo was a cunt to him and stole his girl or punched him or fucking kicked him in the dick. Like, who knows?
No,
like
he just worked for people with money, which is the Empire and Jabba.
Or that, for sure. No, but I think with Boba Fett and Han Solo, the reason I think they're connected when they're not actually, I think it's EU stuff, like the expanded universe stuff, or maybe just books I haven't read, but I think it's maybe the movies as well. Like they said they were going to make a Solo before they made the Solo, making a Boba Fett movie. I think maybe at one point they even said that there'd be 2 movies and they might be the heroes of their own stories and villains of each other's, and they'd intersect. And they were going to Marvel that shit before they were like, actually, let's get John Favreau. Let's let him Marvel-fy this show because it's really doing interesting things. Where I'm like, it's quite a short, small story. But it's intertwining in a way where I'm like, I don't like that Cara Dune is already on the New Republic. That feels way too soon. That was next season we found that out. To me. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, who cares? I love that she's back and she's on a computer. And he's like, do the thing on the computer. She's like, it's just buttons. How does this computer work?
That seemed for some reason to be like, almost like that was their way of keeping her out of the season finale. To me.
Oh.
Yeah, like she's like, there's rules now. I'm actually part of a movement. I can't just attack the Empire.
Oh, you're right.
So that, to me, it was like, oh, so she's going to sit this one out, but she's going to help still. You know?
I don't know. You say that and I'm like, fuck, actually, yeah, so she won't be shooting any stormtroopers, which sucks. I really like her, but you know what?
She might rock up with the Republic.
Oh, no, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Right at the
I'm
fucking
not saying
end.
She wouldn't help, because, like, she cares about
like
them.
Gandalf.
It's so clear, but she can't just, like, bust in with them. Maybe if some conflict arises and there's, like, an event, the Republic can roll in and help, and then we can...
Because I actually thought that was going to be, like, what I loved about her little, like, Republic. I was like, fuck, I just cannot wait for the scene where we see 3 X-Wings rock up.
I was thinking
and she's like, it's me, Cara Dune, the MMA fighter. I'm now on a ship. And I'm like, oh no, how are you going to kick people and do your little wrestle thing on the ground? How are you going to do it now?
I was actually thinking more like, because there's a big Imperial vessel, like a Mon Calamari ship or, some New Republic ship that we're kind of familiar with.
Oh.
And then there's actually like a Star Wars. It's potential. It's all potential. It's all speculation. And I always feel a bit silly because I spent the last, 5 episodes being like, Boba Fett's going to team up with the Empire. And anyone coming to the review now, so I don't want to get too deep into speculation. And we've done a lot of that this episode.
We have. There's just a lot of... There's so much to chew on. I don't know. I remember thinking, this will be an episode where I'm like, 30 minutes, episode 6. 2-part finale with Moff Gideon like last season. What are we going to... Oh, we're going to get fucking everything. Boba fucking Fett.
So, I wrote a question down as I was watching the episode because I just didn't want to miss any thoughts.
Exciting.
Do you think watching a show week by week makes it a more engaging experience with bigger highs and lower lows than when you just watch it all in one go?
2000%. Yeah. But you know what it is? I have to be in. Like if I watched... Hey, so Game of Thrones was my biggest favourite thing ever until the last 2 seasons. I wanted to kill myself and I'll never look back. But season 5 came out and it was so... I've never been more fucking keen for anything in my life. I remember my brother was over and I'm like, we're going to a friend's house. There's 4 of us. We're going to fucking watch all 4 episodes because they fucking leaked. And we watched 3 of them. It was way too much and I never appreciated them. That's when it kind of turned garbage anyway. So in hindsight, who cares? But no. If it's good enough, week by week. I watched The Undoing recently and I watched episode 1. I was like, fuck yeah. I watched episode 2. I was like, fuck yeah. Hugh Grant, Nicole Kidman, fucking watch it. Check out my review, 2 Brothers, 1 Pilot. Podcasts, whatever. It's so good. And then I watched episodes 3, 4, 5. And I was suddenly like, near the end. Now I'm not satisfied, near the end. And I binged it all. But then I watched episode 6 and I didn't watch it the day because my fucking power went out. And it was just, oh my God. It was the worst day off of work. The power was out all day. Because it would be on. I could watch it for 5 minutes and then it was like, and the whole house would go out. I'm like, no, what's happening? Unrelated. Then I watched the finale. I don't know, week by week, man. Yeah, 1 episode, every moment counts, every second counts. Like I started this episode and that cold opening. This episode is 27 minutes and it was spectacular from second to each to their own. But I was just so in. But if I'm watching, I've just had a Jedi episode. I'm tired. Oh, fuck, more action. I don't know. I think maybe it's almost too much. Like I think this show really is weak. I don't know. But then those first 4. You could probably watch those first 4. And now really it's ramped up. So
they could have almost The Boys that, Amazon released the first few episodes of The Boys, which I actually felt the first part of season 2 of The Boys was the weakest stuff and it just gets kind of better.
For sure.
As the series progresses.
Yeah. So how many did they release? I didn't watch it until it was
3,
all out.
I think 3 or 4 to straight up that were just up.
So Mando would do big Dragon, now I love this show more than I've ever loved it. 2 and 3. Oh no, 3's great. So 2's a little weak and then 3's fantastic.
But
and then
different.
For sure, but then week by week, then you're left with Mandalorians meeting Mandalorians, and then you would get 4, you got your Snoke babies, and then 5 Jedi, 6. I don't know, maybe that would have, but I've really liked watching it week by week. I miss that. I think 22 episode shows like The Flash, I still kind of watch, but I'm maybe not up to date. Watching that week by week, it's like, I don't know, like something will happen. You're like, we did this last week. You still don't have your powers. But you watch like 6 episodes in a row, and like you get up, you make a coffee, and it's still on, and it all just kind of goes. I don't know. It's fascinating. Yeah.
If you watch Mandalorian all in one go, it would definitely feel like more of a cohesive narrative. The season would feel like a story, and then even though there's lots of like jumping point to point, it is all flowing together very, very well. One episode leads right into the next all the time.
Season 1, because we watched, I did, I presume you did. When season 1 came out, fucking whatever, week by week, week by week. And it was pretty good, but rewatching it when we did our episode just before this season came out, we watched all of it over a week and then we did our review. I enjoyed it a lot more. I really enjoyed it as a movie that's a bit longer, and as we said, those middle episodes, like, that would be a montage, but they're full eppies. Instead of him being like, I did a heist and now they're captured, montage. It's a full epi. That's fucking sick. Fuck yeah, this is a show, not a movie. But just sometimes when you're just so in like I am, and I never want to be, but I just get so into it. You watch an episode and like I've talked to people and they're like, that's the second episode. No good. I'm like, what?
I was at a party recently, the guy said exactly that. He said it finished, and I was like, you wasted my fucking time.
Brutal.
And it was so strange because you said something similar about an element of the Ahsoka episode too. And I was like hearing these two, like this was right after that episode had come out. And then I was like sitting, and this guy's, like I went to his house, he's got a big Lego Death Star. A giant, like, Imperial
You need to steal it, we'll put it right there. And then I'll smash it.
Honestly, seeing this guy's collection of stuff, it was magnificent.
Yeah, that's fucking sick,
cunt.
Yeah.
Perfectly in like, these like cabinets like I have for my cameras.
Yeah.
But it also dawned on me that like I just really don't want stuff this big in my house. Because it's a big thing to have in your house. Like having a gigantic Lego
you need an
safe,
extra room.
You gotta dust it.
Oh no, you
mean?
do.
And
oh no, you do.
And you don't want anyone to touch it. You don't want anyone to actually enjoy it for what it is. It's one of those
too
things,
much, yeah.
But it's also Lego, so you want to open it and like look at the layers and the detail and the
Yeah.
It's this horrible kind of like disconnect. It's like a big piece that's a toy. That's a big toy. I played with that as a kid. I love Lego. I know this is like big adult version of it, but it's still Lego. Let me pull it apart.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to. But it was funny that second episode, because it really isn't that different in length from this episode.
I think this is the shortest.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's maybe 1 minute longer than something, but
it's not far off. Yeah. Like,
it's
but the fact
so
that we
short.
reintroduced like Boba Fett, Fennec Shand.
Boba Fett's first episode in live action TV is 27 minutes long, but he fucking appears like 5 minutes in. Like he's like cute, Grogu, ha ha ha, human emotions. All I say this like it's the greatest 2-minute cold opening. I think it changed my time opinion of the last 40 minutes of the show, and then boom, Temple. Boom, Baby Yoda, Boba Fett. It's like 5 minutes in. Like a normal show that has 40 minutes just takes 12 minutes to get there. We take that 12 minutes out and boom, it's straight. I don't know, man. I think last week you're like, no, Ahsoka shouldn't be double part as long epi. Just bam, bam, bam. It was concise and to the point. And I now rewatching that episode went, yeah, fuck, I don't want her to be sitting there being like, oh, Darth Vader, you don't know him. But I'm like, no, you know what? This is like her being like, I knew of a man, and I remember not vibing with that, but it's the exact same scene as in Civil War when Tom Holland is like, I'm a Spider-Man, and you don't know what, if you failed this person and you have the power, and I'm like, he's talking about Ben! He's not saying it because he doesn't want to say it to this stranger, but I know because I know Spider-Man, and that's what Ahsoka's doing. She's not going into it because it's Darth Vader. Why would she bring up to this fucking stranger in a helmet? But I know, and it's using our knowledge of the show, and I don't know, just in hindsight, it's like, I'm really liking it. It's just getting to the point, doing it very quickly, and not showing anything more than it needs to.
And now
it's so good.
We get 3 bounty hunters traveling together for a couple episodes, conceivably. Like
the next 2 epis, for sure. Yeah,
the next 2 will probably be a 2-parter, like
100%. Yes,
we're following the same formula. It's like it'll probably
find Bill Burr, do a thing with Bill Burr,
get the
kill Moff Gideon,
or the team, or the whatever. And then we're on our way. And
you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah, they're definitely going to do that.
They fucking better, because that's the best part of rewatching season 1 was like, there's a you son of a bitch, I'm in moment. Whereas like, who's in? They're like, I love you, Mando. Look at your helmet. You're the sexiest man I've never seen the face of. Like, I'm so excited. I don't know. Do you want everyone back in? Like...
Yeah, throw it all at the wall.
All? Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of not holding everything back.
Waiting for the moment,
do
yeah.
the thing now.
For sure, yeah.
You don't
Get to it now. What if, the world ends tomorrow, yeah.
Do the thing. Do the big thing.
Yes.
Throw the characters in. Obviously, do enough to earn the moments, and maybe don't throw every Jedi in the universe in, but they've earned a lot this season that they can now bring back in, and it'd be cool if they just threw everything they've set up over the first 2 seasons for a big 2-part episode, season 2 finale that maybe leaves things in a mixed position, or leaves things very sad and dour or down, or maybe they overcome it and we come out with just like a new way for them to going into the next season, a new ship, a new something, a new beginning for the characters. That'll be kind of where it goes, I think.
So just because, to tail off that, I think what I want to see, because this episode's first scene is him being like, I need to find the Jedi. I need to find your home, your family, they'll treat you good. And I just suddenly, it came to the epiphany because of him laughing at Grogu's name. I was like, he's the family. That's the point of this season. That's why we're going to people, because he keeps trying to give Baby Yoda to someone and be like, I don't know what to do with this baby. Because she's like, take him to a Jedi. That's your season 2+. And he's like, okay, fuck, all right. And he's like, Baby Yoda. Who wants the hot Baby Yoda? And then the end of the season will be him realizing, Baby Yoda, Grogu is my son.
Probably with a little pep talk from Boba Fett and, I don't know, something about fatherhood and my father.
Oh, fuck. Oh my God, I love that so... Sorry, I love that so much. I need that scene now. I don't know. I just think that once I realized that this episode, I'm like, I'm happy with Jedi popping in and being like, no, Baby Yoda's yours. Because last episode I was like, why are we doing this Jedi shit if she's just gonna be like, psh. But now I'm like, no, this is what I want. This is all I wanted, was a little creature who's innocent but maybe has magic, and a big strong man without a face that I can just project the fuck onto. And it's set in a Western aspect. Also, it's lightsabers and stuff. It's everything about this. Like, that first scene where he's like doing the thing. He's like, dang, Farrak. Also, we should do a thing where I just give you a bunch of levels of dang Farrak, and you can cut out every time I say cunt and put in me being like, dang Farrak. Don't do that. Don't waste your time. Yeah, I swear way too much. Don't do that. But I'm very keen for this. I really want one more Jedi to appear. One more Jedi this season. I want it to be armless, blind Mace Windu, Samuel Jackson being like, too many Baby Yodas on my Baby Yoda plane or whatever. No, I don't want that. But I would love one more Jedi this season to then be like, no. And just reaffirm that Ahsoka thing. It might not be needed, and I might change my mind and be like, no, all these action, no, Ahsoka was the Jedi to do that. But I would love a reinforcement of like, just some, I don't know, or some other moment where Mando realizes, oh fuck, no, I'm the dad. And just have that. And so then the season's like, that's what it is. That's what this is. And then season 3 can be Mandalorian, the bounty hunter, with a little magic baby boy that I gotta protect. And we're not looking for Jedi, maybe Mandalorian still, but I don't know. I think that's what I really want from what this episode gave me. I would be really sad if he's not back with Baby Yoda on good terms. Last thing, Boba Fett, Jango Fett. I want you to read this thing on my armor. It's been in my 25 years or whatever fucking thing.
My dad was a foundling.
What I love though is that he's like, I am Boba Fett, as you can see. Jango Fett, my father. And he just looks with his fucking acting face. He just looks so ugly and old and just, I love that shit so much. And then he's like, oh, you were a foundling too? I'm like, oh my God. This is so good. Because he wasn't, I feel like there was something that they've done in maybe the Clone Wars or just the movies or something where it's like, he's not a Mandalorian. I remember telling you, no, he's not a Mandalorian. Like, they stole that armor. And that was new canon. Maybe EU stuff is different. But I love that they're like, no. Like Mando, they're foundlings. They might not be from Mandalore or anything, but they're Mandalorians. And then that gives him the armor back. And just that honor warrior thing, like, I just got such a sense when he's picking it up off the dust and the dirt. He's holding up this spear and this I don't know, running a lot of Game of Thrones, like burnt dragon thing and just holding up a weapon. I'm just like, and Mando holding that thing, just been like, he's a warrior. And Boba Fett looks at him then. And there's this look he gives when like, Boba Fett's deciding to not be a fucking cunt. And he's like, I'm going to help this guy. He's going to fly in my sweet Boba Fett jet from the prequels. Ah! And we're going to fucking kill Moff Gideon. I don't want him to die, but fuck, I want them to kill him. Last thoughts?
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Yeah, I'm excited for where it's going. Boba Fett rocket moment number 2 this season was just as good as rocket moment number 1.
I love that.
And the same moment, essentially.
Exactly the same, but just bigger and better.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny because when you see him on the thing, he's going for that first one. So when he says, actually, I'm a shit shot, I'm still the Boba Fett that got killed like a schlub, he's not lying. He went for that bottom one. I only noticed this time we watched it, my 5th watch, I noticed. When he looks at the thing, he's going for the bottom one. So it's not even just a joke. It's like, that character was going for the wrong ship. Hit the right ship, the top ship, and hit the other ship. He wasn't getting both ships. It was an accident.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved just, if he hadn't seen it and done that, and I hadn't noticed that element later, that joke to me, that never worked. All 5 times it didn't work for me. But also, I love that a line in a show that's like, no time to breathe. He says that line, before I can breathe, they've blown up the home of the ship. It's like, imagine them blowing up Firefly and Firefly. It's like, I can't.
I got major Rise of Skywalker vibes.
Oh no, I'm
those
so sorry.
2 ships taking off, just like when they take Chewbacca. And then they like pull the ship and it blows up. And it was like those being like weird Imperial like cargo ship things, and there's 2 of them. And there was 2, but there wasn't 2, but then there was 2. And it was just like all these things were coming back, and I'm like, I guess they're doing this because they have to lean into that aesthetic. And I feel like those cargo ship things, I don't remember them in any other movies, maybe in Force Awakens, but...
I think having things that work now that are kind of reminiscent of later makes sense to me, because I think Moff Gideon is one of the many things of the New Order? I forgot what First Order. Fuck, who cares?
Then Final
The Empire. Sequel Empire. Like it's... And but I'm really... I say it like I don't like it, but it's like I really like the idea of these disparate things. How much are the ships going to change in 30 years? Like, who's changing them? Why? I don't know. And the world is very much like that, because from prequels, original to sequels, they are very similar for the nostalgia, member berries vibe mostly. But that is the world now, so they've got to kind of live in that I guess things didn't change that much. Like, they're too busy trying to clone people to build new ships. I'm fine with that. I don't know. But that sucks, though. Like, even just... the idea of watching this episode and being reminded of this Rise of Skywalker. Because this is the opposite. To me, this was like, I don't think I've had this much joy since Game of Thrones season 6 finale. Like, that's how much I enjoyed this. And rewatching it, every time I'm like, this is almost nothing, but it's so much. It's just essentially Baby Yoda on a temple being like, a blue orb going up, and Boba Fett kills a guy. Or like a bunch of guys who are useless. They're just like, bam, 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 he just kills all of them. But there's a bit where he punches a guy and he shoots him. And I'm like, I've never been more excited in my life. I just can't believe we're seeing him actually here. I don't know. It's so weird. And I can't believe more Boba Fett. It's not just one Boba Fett, we've got more Boba Fett. It pans out and you're like, fuck. There's actual stakes now. Oh my God. And it goes, ba-doom, Robert Rodriguez. I have never been more impressed with someone's name coming up in my life. I was just like, I expected I've embarrassed myself.
What?
I expected like a bigger Therma kind of.
Oh.
But it's just like...
I'll add it in for you.
Oh, that was probably the best one.